Yo, what's good? What's good? What's good, chat? What's good? Ty Butler here with y'all on this Tuesday morning. Let's get it popping. At Ty D Butler. That's where you can find me on YouTube. That is where you can find me on Instagram and on X. What's going on here? Hold up for a second, y'all. I want to hear from the people in the chat, man. It would be nice to hear from the people in the chat. Would be dope. Get your comments. Make it a two-way conversation. Make it a two-way conversation just because I don't want to be just sitting here talking to myself. I want to hear from the Knicks fans. I was on last night and I talked about just how disappointing it was to have that kind of an effort from this team in a game that I thought, I understand like the regular season for a lot of people doesn't matter. But there were some stakes. There were some stakes. So I felt like fresh off of a three-game losing streak, a Nick team playing with some pride, you would think they come out here and try to make a statement against the I don't even know if I want to call them the up and coming Pistons because that feels like I'm underrating them. But I mean they didn't win a playoff round, so yeah, I guess technically they are the up and coming Pistons. And I just thought the Knicks would come out with more hunger, with more intensity, and even if they lost the game, it would not look the way that it did. You get smoked by 31 points. That's embarrassing. And it's not like the Atlanta game where you were without Mitch, Cat, and Josh Hart. Josh Hart is a significant piece on this team, but he should not be the difference between you winning and losing by 31 points. And so I was concerned with what I saw from the Knicks last night. Very concerned. And as you take a moment to just reflect on the first, 36 games so far the Knicks have played. They're 23-13, so 36 games so far. You take a moment to reflect on it. And it's funny because just a week ago, they're flying high. They're a game back of the one seed in the East. You had seen them beat San Antonio in the cup game. So it's like, all right, the best the Western Conference in the tournament had to offer. We were able to beat them. We saw them come back and beat the Cavs on Christmas Day, which was a sensational win. And you're thinking to yourself, man, we're like from an eye test standpoint and from just like a statistical standpoint, yeah, everything we expected, we are seeing. And that was despite like various injuries. OG missed some time. Cat, he's been dealing with some lower extremity issues. We saw, Josh Hart is out. Mitchell Robinson, he's been on this like load management thing. And for them to come out the gate and be, what were they? 20-8 through the Miami game, 23-9 through the New Orleans game, you're thinking, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I expected to see from this team. But since then, they've now lost 4 straight. And if you want to play the game of, yes, it's only a 4-game losing streak, which is their longest since December of 2022. But we could just go back and say, maybe we saw some signs earlier than that certain aspects of this team just caught your attention. So they lose at home, or they lose in Minnesota, and that was a game. Towns scored 40, right? And who sat? Towns scored 40, but someone sat in that game. I'm trying to remember who it was. Was it Jalen? Yeah, Jalen Brunson didn't play in that game. Towns scored 40. He looked incredible. But because the Knicks, had decided this is where you rest him, they rested him, and then he returned in the Cleveland game. But the Cleveland game was concerning, and you love that they came back, but they were down 17, and it took a heroic performance in that fourth quarter. Tyler Kolek hitting a bunch of shots. Jordan Clarkson was excellent in that game. Brunson obviously closed the deal. But they were down 17 at home to the Cavs. Atlanta, late in the first of the Atlanta games that they just played, late in that game in the fourth quarter, I'm going to go back and double check. Atlanta's up by a point with 49 seconds left in the game. So you're down 17 to the Cavs. You're down a point to Atlanta, all the way up to where, OG gets fouled. 29 seconds left in the game, you're down a point to Atlanta. And then the New Orleans game was kind of like up for grabs, which you didn't really expect it to be. New Orleans to start the fourth quarter up 7. So think about that for a moment. And what it is that we're talking about. It's not just like an overreaction to a 4-game losing streak. It's you're down 17 at home to Cleveland. You're down a point to the Pelicans with 30 seconds left to go in the game. You're trailing the Hawks with 30 seconds left to go in the game. You're trailing the Pelicans by 7 to start the fourth quarter. And then you blow a 19-point lead in San Antonio. You lose the Friday night game to Atlanta. You get smacked by Philadelphia this past Saturday. And then last night's game just wasn't even competitive. After the first quarter, you got dusted. So it's been some time since we've seen the Knicks put together a full game where you're like, that was an excellent performance on both ends. And you just look and go back since the start of December, and I talked about this last night, that their defense is abysmal. During the 4-game losing streak, they've been bad. I've always had questions about how good they can be when like 4 of the guys you're running out there are just going to get attacked, and Clarkson, Kolek, Brunson, and Cat. But for Cade Cunningham and Tyrese Maxey in back-to-back games to just cook you with ease when you're supposed to have 2 of the best wing defenders in basketball in Bridges and OG, it's just inexcusable. Cade just last night didn't break a sweat. And the Pistons, because I see this going around, where the Knicks, they're tired. So they're more tired than the Pistons, who were on the second of a back-to-back. The Pistons the night before beat the Cavs. And I thought, okay, this is actually advantage Knicks, because it's a competitive game against Cleveland. They'll have dead legs. They're without 3 of their rotation guys, 2 starters. Harris and Duren didn't play. And they wiped the floor with you. So that's concerning. Now, does it mean if you're a Knicks fan, you should be giving up on the season? Obviously not. Like no one, I think, logically or credibly is making the argument, I think the Knicks are done. But what we can do as we usher ourselves through this entire season, where the expectation is at the very least get to the finals, we can react to the information being presented to us as it happens. And when you've lost 4 straight, any team in the NBA that considers itself to be a contender and loses 4 straight games, that's a big story. It's a big story. Now, the Nuggets, without 4 of their 5 players, if they lose 4 straight games, it's a story, but you kind of understand it. But if Oklahoma City or Houston, if any of those teams that we think could win a championship. And I'll bring back Denver. If Denver were healthy and then lost 4 straight games, any of those teams we think could win the title. San Antonio, if that happens, then yes, there's going to be some cause for concern. Especially when what we're watching, and I'm not just talking about the losses, but like how they're playing is alarming. Kevin Zwicker chimes in. Kevin Zwicker 96 says, not too worried. It's a long regular season. The Knicks will make a move at the deadline. You hope so. You hope so. They need a shot creator. And they're struggling with the length of length and athleticism we've seen the last couple of nights just give them problems. Detroit had 11 blocks and 12 steals. Stocks for the new media. 23 stocks. We win 4 in a row. People playing parade routes. We lose 4 in a row. Season over. I got faith in it again. You should have faith. I am not on here telling you that you should not have faith in this team. But what I am saying is you are in brand new territory. When's the last time for an entire season we were the discussion around the Knicks was they have to get to the finals? It's been a long time since that happened. And so when you don't have the benefit of the doubt provided by accomplishments, like legitimate accomplishments, like we've seen you do it. So, anything that like deviates from you being your best, we're going to give you the benefit of the doubt because we know you can get it done, which we will see happen with champions. And so to go to football, the overreaction to the Eagles struggles this year just never made sense to me. They're 11-5. They are, or 11-6, right? The number 3 seed, and they're the defending champions. So until I see them lose, I'm just not going to be overly concerned about them. And they could very well lose this weekend to the Niners. It's why, Chiefs fans, when they're winning all these one-score games and it doesn't look great, their fans are just like, bro, they've been to 2 straight Super Bowls. They're going to a third. Like, when there's proof of concept, you are afforded the benefit of the doubt. And the Knicks, yes, have made a conference finals, but we've never seen them. I shouldn't say never. Well, yes, like we've never seen this iteration of the Knicks get to where the expectation is for them to get to, which is why, yeah, I mean, I'm not off the bandwagon. I'm still picking them to win the Eastern Conference, but I look today and they're the number 3 seed in that Eastern Conference, and you're like, all right, that's something to nothing. It's something through 36 games. Before the year, if I had told you they're the 3 seed in the conference and they're coming off of being blasted by Detroit by 31 points, you'd say, oh yeah, I don't think that aligns with what and where I thought this team would be. So that's all we're doing. We're being logical. We're being rational. We're not going to like overreact one way or the other. I will say this. I thought last night was more important for the Pistons because the Pistons, on a topic of proof of concept, the Pistons lost to the Knicks in the playoffs last year. The Pistons, yes, are the 1 seed, 4-game lead over the Knicks, but they are still in that we have to see it to believe it. Prove it to us. We need tangible evidence phase. I've seen the Knicks get to a conference finals. I saw the Knicks play you in the round 1 last year and beat you. I saw them have the best player on the floor in that series. I saw them time after time in crunch time, gotta have it moments, deliver. So I thought last night was more important for Detroit. But even with that being said, I didn't think it would look as bad as it did. And I know people don't want to hear this. And I'm not saying he's a problem or anywhere close to the top of whatever list we make of the biggest problems with the Knicks. Jalen Brunson having the same amount of shot attempts as the rest of the starting 5 combined is a problem, is a huge problem, especially when you see his counterpart in Cade Cunningham give you 29 points and 13 assists. So Jalen last night goes 10 of 21 from the field, no assists, 6 turnovers. So he was like a one-dimensional player. I'm just scoring, and that's all I'm doing. I'm not setting anyone up. I'm surely not playing a lick of defense. I try to flop my way around and draw charges, but he didn't do anything yesterday outside of scoring. And he's elite at that. He is a phenomenal scorer. This is not shade to Jalen Brunson. But I mean, we do see that he has flaws in his game. We do see that this Knicks team, while excellent, they do have some flaws that can be exploited, which is why you worry about certain matchups like this one, the physicality that Detroit brought. Guarding full court, not getting beat. How many times have we seen Knicks opponents just get pummeled on the boards? Pummeled. Mitchell Robinson was just too much of a problem for them. Knicks got out-rebounded by 14 yesterday. By 14. 5 offensive rebounds in the game to 14 for Detroit. 44-30 total. And so, excuse me, I don't want to make too much of one game or I don't want to make too much of one game, nor do I want to make too much of a 4-game losing streak. But last 15 games, they're a bottom third defense. 15 games is a significant sample size. What is that? Like 20% of your season. 20% of your season. You've been a bottom third defense. And I can actually pull up what it is overall because we had seen for, I would say the first part of the year, I was like, wow, the Knicks defense is actually playing pretty well. Now, their offense last night notwithstanding is unbelievable. But I just wonder how good they're going to be defensively. And I don't think you can be a bad defense and win the title. Winning 4 playoff rounds with a bad defense, I just don't think that that's possible. So right now they're 17th in defensive rating. But they're just like a point away from being 21st. But they're also a point away from being 12th, right? So like they're right there in the thick of things. But I'm curious, if you're a Knicks fan, are you panicking right now? Hit me up at Ty D Butler. Hit up the chat. Ty D Butler is where you can find me on Instagram, on Twitter, and on TikTok. Just because you graduated to a new phase of your development. And I understand Josh Hart, his defense. And it's not just his defense. I don't want to make the mistake of, just because we're talking about a bad defensive team right now, the Knicks, pretend like all Josh Hart does is provide better defense. Like the all-around impact that he has from an energy standpoint, diving for loose balls, which it will either extend a play or create a possession on the other end. The offensive rebounds, his underrated playmaking, like that, his IQ in the half court is just phenomenal. Josh Hart is a player, and he started the season on very poorly, but since getting inserted back into the starting lineup, I just thought, this dude is like, and he's not as good as the guy I'm going to compare him to, but similar in what you envision his impact being, and that's Draymond Green, who I know Knicks fans don't have any love for. But just to do it all, big plays need to happen. He's right in the middle of it. Don't trust his shot for like the first 46 and a half minutes, but somehow last 90 seconds of a game, Josh Hart's hitting big threes. And so, yes, that is a significant part of this team not out there that they're missing. But again, should he be the difference between you being competitive in a road game against the number one seed versus getting blasted by 30 points? No, he shouldn't be. The Knicks have no excuse to look that bad last night. That bad. No one on the team had a good game. Deuce late hit couple threes, but even Jalen, like I said, the 6 turnovers, no assists, and he was just purely a scorer who just got no one involved. There was no flow to the offense. And what that type of game allows for other teams in the conference to create a blueprint on how to beat you. And look, maybe those other teams in the conference can have the blueprint, but still just not be good enough to execute that blueprint the way that Detroit did. Detroit's got the dogs. That team has the talent and the head coach. And they also have the superstar that can cancel out, neutralize, that can play Jalen head to head to a draw. And I still think Jalen's a better player. Last night he wasn't. Saturday night, him and Maxey, he was not the better player. And that's why you watch these games and you try to take bits and pieces of it and see how it applies to a deep playoff run. And we know how teams are going to try to beat the Knicks. They're going to try to beat the Knicks by because at all times they're going to have at least 1 or 2 players on the floor who just give you nothing defensively. And Kolek, Brunson, Cat, Clarkson, they're just going to attack those guys. Whoever's guarding, whoever those guys are guarding, put them in pick and roll, go at them. They're going to, on defense, rotate off of Mitchell Robinson. Force Cat to dribble, and once Cat's dribbling, try to swipe the ball. Get handsy. This is where the length, athleticism, the quickness in your rotations, that all gets put on display because there are some flaws. It's a great offense, and I think OG will shoot better. Bridges had nothing last night. Like, Brunson will be better. Like, these guys offensively will be better. But I have more confidence in that than their defense. And if their defense is in shambles the way that it has been the last 17 games, then you just can't win a championship like that. You can't. Because now we're talking about you having to have an historic offense for 4 playoff rounds. And I just don't think you can do that. Especially when I think whether it's Oklahoma City, San Antonio, Houston, like Denver, whoever wins the Western Conference, getting through that gauntlet to me tells me you're the best team in the conference. And if you can exploit the Knicks defensively, you're just going to win the series. Ty D. Butler, that's where you can find me. Talking a little basketball right now on this Tuesday morning, January 6th. Funny. It's a funny date. And so, yeah, I want to hear from y'all. If you guys are active and want to get it popping in the chat, let's do it. Let's do it. I would love to see what y'all got going on. You want to have some conversations? Basketball about the Knicks? I'll take some football questions. Why not? I'll take some football questions. I am very much looking forward to wild card weekend in the NFL because I would say outside of one game, outside of one game, and that's Rams-Panthers, there's no shocking result. Bears, Packers, any team wins, that's not shocking. Bills, Jags, whoever wins, not shocking. 49ers, Eagles, whoever wins, you're not shocked. Chargers, Patriots, same thing. Texans, Steelers. Any of those teams can win. None of it will be shocking outside of Rams, Panthers. If Carolina upsets the Rams, like that is going to be an upset of all upsets. We're all looking at this like, the Rams pretty much have a bye. People were picking them to win the Super Bowl. They had hit a little bit of a skid late in the season that dropped them down to 5. But I mean, this is kind of a layup of a game, and it's with all due respect to Carolina, but winning your division 8 and 9, which by the way shouldn't guarantee you a playoff game. Oh, come on, NFL, let's do something about the seeding. You win that division 8 and 9. And it's not even because you won the game to get into the playoffs. You had help the very next day. No one's going to believe in you, especially against a high-powered offense like what the Rams give you, with Corum and Kyron and Devontae's back and Nakua, of course, and Stafford, being in the MVP conversation. It's just that's a mismatch. But you could have said that about any team Carolina play. Who's the team Carolina plays in the NFC that you're not like, well, that's a mismatch? They play the Niners, the Eagles. Like, those are all just Packers, Bears. Those are all just mismatches because Carolina, not a great team. They're a below average team. But all the other games should be fun, man. I'm very much looking forward to. Shout out to all the Knicks fans who hopped in here in the chat. We're still waiting for some baseball news. Busteroni says it seems inevitable that the Mets are going to sign either Framber Valdez or Ranger Suarez as they continue to explore the starting pitching market. So maybe get a big splash for the Mets at some point here. Yankees, we're still waiting to see what unfolds there. Cody Bellinger, at some point, things will start to happen in baseball. What was I going to say? Oh, NFL wise, you see Matt Eberflus gets fired by the Dallas Cowboys. So they're now searching for their 4th defensive coordinator in 4 seasons. The ex-Bears head coach, who, by the way, is watching Caleb Williams and the Bears. It's 2 seeds. Got to be thinking to myself, man. It looks like the Jets could be one of the many teams in pursuit of a defensive coordinator. Do they like Eberflus? I can't come away from watching Dallas have the worst defense in the NFL and think, that's a great option for the Jets. Raheem Morris, that would be perfect. If I'm the Jets and I can get like Brian Dable and Raheem Morris, and my quarterback, that's a dream come true. That is a dream come true. But we'll see. This is what we have in New York sports. Teams that don't do a whole lot of winning, but it's a content machine because it's New York sports. So Ty D. Butler's where you can hit me up. Appreciate you guys joining. Maybe I'll hop on later to talk some football. But have a great morning. If you're on your way to work, drive safe out there. And I will talk to you a bit later on. Peace and love.